Erev Shabbos Kodesh. Healthy. Erev Shabbos Kodesh. Parshas Boy. It's a very big Shabbos. It's a very, very, very big Thursday night because we all know the way the Shabbos is going to look is the way the Achonim Yishatarach Be'erev Shabbos Eichel Shabbos. Therefore, that's the minhag Thursday night of coming together and making chaburis and gathering together and discussing the Heilige Parsha and the Heilige Shabbos and singing in order to show Hashem how much we're so eagerly awaiting to be makabel and to keep and to live just one more Shabbos as our Heilige Shabbos. So, this Shabbos, everybody knows, we've spoken a lot and I'm sure everybody's heard. This is the Parsha of Yetzias Mitzrayim. This is it. We're finally coming out of Mitzrayim. And even though, what do you mean finally? Barely just last week, Shemois Ve'era is when it got messy out there in Mitzrayim. And boy, we're already out. So what's the big excitement? So first of all, we have to know the greatness of talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim. Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Heilige Vasemes tells us that when he discusses the nisim and the miracles of the Yetzias Mitzrayim, it saves the soul of this fellow, and the people schmoozing and discussing the tremendous miracles of the Yetzias Mitzrayim, the exodus out of Egypt. It saves a yid from ever having to go through Mitzrayim difficulties. It's a big Yeshua. It's a big Yeshua. So if so, that means the Parsha of Yetzias Mitzrayim isn't just a Parsha time. It's so important. That's what we say. Every moment of a yid's life, you got to be discussing the miracles of the Yetzias Mitzrayim. Furthermore, Parshas Boy, as we know, Moshe Rabbeinu was the Goel Rishon, and he will be the Goel Achron. Oh, Gvalt, Yiddish Kinderlich, we have to know that it wasn't just 2 weeks of the Parsha, Shmois and Vayera, that we were in Mitzrayim, maybe Vayichi, we went down. Yosef already way before. But the Matthias is, we know that even though we came out of Mitzrayim, the physical Egypt, on the map, a place called Mitzrayim, but sadly, up until Mashiach, up until the Geula Shlema, we still know that there are souls that are stuck in Mitzrayim. The Bnei Sasa teaches us that when we say in davening, "V'ani dochem b'yeretz," Eretz Mitzrayim. Yep. There are those that are still stuck all the way out in Mitzrayim. These are big souls, important souls, that will only be released by the bound that they're bounded to Klipas Mitzrayim when Mashiach comes and the Geula comes. Now that's a very severe case of those souls that Taka died and were left in Mitzrayim. But there's also, every Yid has some kind of level where we get Mitzrayim stuck. That means that Mitzrayim doesn't only mean Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim means all our Meitzarim, all of our, when things are rough, when things are narrow, when things are condensed into very hard spots where a Yid can't seem to get himself out of at the moment, for the moment at least. There's a lot of Mitzrayim that goes on between all Yiddish Kinderlich. Everybody in their own level, everybody at their own space. And all of us, we want to get out of Mitzrayim. We want to leave Mitzrayim. And therefore, when we come to the Parsha of Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Kriyas Mo'ir Dizman, and we are Zoicha to get schlepped out of our Mitzarim, we get schlepped out of all are difficult matzavim, we have to believe it. It's the beginning of Pesach. We know the end of the parsha when the Eibishter is Piseach v'dileg al botei Yisrael, the Eibishter mamish. It's a beginning, like we'll say soon, the story from Ramosh Lefsasa, where every house, through this parsha, through the story of Pesach and the Yetzias Mitzrayim, which is this year, every Yiddish house, which is every Yid is a whole base Yisrael. Every Yid is a house of the Jewish people. It's a resting place of the Shechina Kedosha. And therefore, when we read this parsha, we get rejuvenated. We get jump-started out of our Meitzorim.
Thank you.
And we're zoicha to have some chayres olam. I want to share with you what all the Heilige Svarim say. All the Heilige Svarim say this. You ready? And what is that? Is a big question. Surely asked it before. Everybody mentions it. All the Svarim Akdoshim. Parsha tells us, Yomer Hashem al Moshe boil Pari. Hashem tells Moshe, come to Pari. Everybody knows. When I'm telling you to go somewhere, I don't tell you come, I tell you go. Should have said Leichel Pari. Everybody asked this. Everybody. It's a very big question.
No, I'm saying it could go okay if you tell someone, okay, coming on for there.
But not when I'm sending you on a shlichus. When I'm sending you on a shlichus.
I'm asking you like a friend, okay, you want to come with me to there?
That's coming with me, but not when I'm sending you. When I'm sending you, it has to say Leich. You don't say, I'm sending you, I'm telling you, you don't say boy. Yeah, you only say Leich. So what is this? Everybody asks this question. Everybody. Hands down, everybody. And I'll share with you the way the story with the Heilige Rebbe Reb Zisha. The Holy Rebbe Reb Zisha, his son was Rabbi Yisrael Avram from China, Austria. It's a big tzaddik, a big soul, very, very Heilige Yid. At one time, the Heilige Rebbe Reb Zisha wanted to bring his son Reb Srulcha, he wanted to bring Rabbi Yisrael Avram, Reb Srulcha, wanted to bring him to the Maggid should see. But Rabbi Yisrael Avram was that was his Mamshich Darko. Anyways, so he brings him to the Heilige Maggid of Mizrich. And the man he was a smart boy, he ended up being a big tzaddik, a godly Yisrael, and he was a child. He says, he asked him this question, maybe it was Taka Pasha's boy. He says, let me ask you a question. Heilige Rabbi Yisrael Avram, my tide is Isa boy chickle. Why does it say boy, not lech? And in a second, Rabbi Yisrael Avram answered the Heilige Maggid of Mizrich. He says, what do you mean? Because wherever a Yid goes, a Yid always goes with the Eibishter. That was what he answered. And the Maggid had tremendous nachas. He gave him a glut and he said, it's a smart boy, he's yet going to be big. He said, what do you mean? Buy the party, come to the party, because wherever a Yid goes, the Eibishter goes with you.
This is like a Jewish classic answer.
This is the most important thing.
You're saying that Hashem told...
It can't be such a
I'm telling you.
When Hashem told you, when you said to Moshe, said, come with me.
That's right, because wherever a Yid goes, of course it was a shlichus. Of course it was a church sadech, but boy, he said, because wherever you go, Hashem goes with you. Hashem is always with you. Hashem is always with you. So therefore, he was able to say, come, because he's also going. Because wherever a Yid goes, the Eibishter is going with him. Because wherever a Yid goes, the Eibishter is going with him. And as simple as it is, there's a certain depth that we have to hear. The depth of the simple answer. It's the simplest answer, right? But it was the greatest answer. Because sometimes the simplest answer is the greatest answer. It's mamish. Gewaldig chiddush from a young boy. Mamish, because wherever a Yid goes, the Eibishter goes with him. But the Metzias is very, 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 very special Metzias, and that is, where were they going? They're going boil Pari. They're going to Pari. So, from what I'm about to what I'm about to bring out the depth of this word, I have to give another word. An introduction of the Heilige Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh. The Heilige Degel Machne Ephraim brings from the Seder. This is another question all the Mefarshim asks. Yeah? The question is, what's going on? Ki ani ichbadati a slave Pari, ki ani ichbadati the whole time. Everything here is just to show Pari. I mean, come on. Show Pari, hang him upside down once in the public square, let everybody come by and take care of him. So what happens? So what everything is for Pari, all these money, the Gamak is only for Pari. So of course, the Rechaim Kodesh already, not just for Pari. Pari was might have been the excuse, but it was all for the Yidden.
Like, let's say the Nazis. You don't know if you're catching a Nazi, you don't want to just chop off his head.
No,
Slowly.
True.
Want him to suffer also.
A million billion percent.
Wanted him to suffer also.
A million billion percent. Emes. And Avad and the Rechaim Kodesh says that's part of the Geula Eis Asher Salalti. That part of it is that we spoke about earlier, that he has to know that Soini Yisrael, the Eibishter takes care of them, and even if they're worried, they get the punishment, they get beaten the way they need, they get what they need. But there's another very, very important zach. which the Heilige Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh teaches. You know what all these nisim and the flows we're talking about here are, Rabbi say? Sometimes it's possible that a Yisrael could never sadly fall to the level of a pari and a mitzri. That means, not the Achzorius, we hope not, but the Klippa, the Yitzhara sometimes can mess with the Yid, and the Yid falls very low, and we know that all the nisim and the neflois, the peloploimdik miracles that were going on, as we know, we said already in the Pesach Haggadah that it wasn't every makkah was 4 or 5 makkahs. There was sugis to be learned of Emunah Tahira, how every single aspect of the whole makkahs was really Laman Teda, Ki Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Right? All these Lashonis that we were here, we learned Emunah, we learned B'tachin, we learned that the Eibush is boss, but you know, not only when we're in a matzav ready to be makabel, but even sometimes when the matzav, we're in paroi matzavim, and we might not be holding where we want to be holding, but even if we're sometimes in a matzav where we fell so low to paroi levels, we have to know even then that the Eibishter shows us or reveals to us his awesome love and his awesome moifsim and takes us out from there too. So with this introduction, we can understand also Vayomer Hashem Moshe Boyel Pari, like the Heilige Reb Zisha Sorim Yisrael Avram from Charnastra taught us. Wherever a Yid goes, the Eibush is there, even when it's Boyel Pari, if a Yid falls Chas v'Chalila to the lowest of levels and he thinks, I think I've reached the worst possible place. You know who's there right there with you? Boyel Pari. Boy! The Eibush is there with you.
Maybe someone was asking about that all the makkos are really to teach maybe Paro a lesson or something. Someone mentioned something like that. But makkos bechoros, I heard Paro himself is a bechor. Why didn't it affect him?
I wanted to show him that he's the running the rule.
The pasuk clearly says all the bechorim of.
Yeah, you wrote that today, did you?
What was the answer?
The answer was that Hashem wanted to show him that Ani Hashem was like that I did it and I'm not gonna kill him. I wanted to show power.
But how can the pasuk
Right?
then go ahead and say all the bechorim?
Kol b'chayim.
Also by Yamsuf, I think he can die, right?
Yeah, supposedly.
Yeah, the Medrash says he went all the way until Yonah. Ended up becoming the king of Nineveh.
Wow.
So it's a very, very important thing, and it's a good question. And the Nakuda was, it's a question with a lot of terutzim. Number one, the Eibishter wanted to show that even a person that fell to the lowest levels like that still has a chance to do tshuva. Meaning that Pari got his punishment. He ended up, whether the Medrash says he ended up, yes, drowning in by Kriyas Yamsuf, whether he stayed and later became the king of Nineveh and then got his punishment. But there's a bunch of lessons that can be learned. That first of all, you have to know that the lesson was to be learned by Pari. Pari, he acquired at that moment, right? Like he said, he did tshuva. He did tshuva. What does he say? He says, Hashem HaTzadik. Right?
Both personal?
Who?
So boy is personal?
Boy is also personal. Avada. Every year has to come with Hashem to wherever he's at. If the not Eibush is there. But it says, yeah, what does he say when he's chasing them out?
Didn't the king of Nineveh do tshuva? He also himself put sackcloth on? And what?
That was the first time. But later they messed up again. They got patched. Yep. But we see with it by Pari, he ended up making a full turnaround. He recognizes the Eibishter. First it says, second, but then again, the Eibishter says that, and then he says, Sifu, and then he says, second. So it says at the end of the parasha. Right, yep. You ready, JJ?
I'm ready.
The answer is the point of all the Makkahs was one point. The point wasn't just Nekama and Pari. The point was Lamanteda ki ani Hashem, right? We had to know that Hashem is boss. That's the whole point of the Makkahs.
We had to know the Yidden.
We, the Yidden, were the biggest focus, as well as the whole universe. Like I said earlier today, that the Zohar Kodesh, that we had no idea anything about Hashem. We got so nisrachik from Hashem during our time in Mitzrayim. We became so distant and so far. We literally had no Amunah. We didn't know what Amunah was. Imagine you take a random guy from that never doesn't know anything about anything religious, the biggest communist, and you say, "Oh, Hashem loves you." What are you talking about? What's Hashem, King of the world? What are you talking? These things are so foreign. That's how we were.
And Yeshua, I mean, Moshe.
Yeah, Moshe wasn't in Mitzrayim. Moshe, they were
father, at least.
The Levium that were in his Medrash. The Levium. Everybody else, we came to such a level, we didn't know nothing. And Moshe Rabbeinu had to come teach. So therefore, the Lamanteda, the biggest Lamanteda was Paroi. Yes, he was a Bechor. But the whole purpose of all the Makkos was in order to teach that the Eibishter, that Kol Yochel, is Einod Mulvadoi, Ein Kashem Alekeinu, like it says in the Pasuk. And that message came the clearest when the biggest gangster, the biggest troublemaker, came to that recognition, that he was able to tell the world afterwards that there's nobody like Hashem. So it wasn't just in the cover. Yeah,
it's a few points.
Mm-hmm.
But how can the pasuk just like, if you think like how the Gemara talks, you know?
No, because Ataka, it's true, but at the same time, it's Lamanteda. The purpose wasn't stamina common.
There's not a lot of stuff I think in the Torah that says a reason.
Why the Makkah is right? And every Makkah, Lamanteda, Laman, Yeda, Laman.
There's some positive to every Makkah. There's the divine reason for it, like Dam is for this, or Dea is that.
Everything was
Rebbe did that. Like he made what's the positive of each Makkah.
I think everything was he was to go against each one of their gods. Like they like they come after like what was that?
The Nile was one of the.
Yeah, like they worship that, so they turn it to blood and like that.
No, but also everything was Mida Keneged Mida.
Holding.
They did this to the Jews, so they got this. They did that. They got this.
It's true.
Yeah, so that's the answer to that, because the main thing was to teach the lesson that the Eibishter's boss and coming from the biggest Apikoris, even though he should have gotten beheaded the first, but then it would have been a lost opportunity for Kiddush Hashem. This was, everyone's dropping that, all these Mitzrayim, there was a big patch for them and they got him spooked out. Actually, that's maybe what brought him to Tshuva. But Maisa afterwards, when he was able to say that, the Eibishter, you go serve your Eibishter, it was Makir, the biggest thing, that was the ultimate point.
But again, how can the pasuk say kol? Why doesn't it say kemat? Everyone except Paro.
The Gemara says hakol la'asuyei mai, right? There's always hakol can sometimes be. It has to be inclusive. It has to be sometimes like who's not in the hakol, but who we saying not. Why do you have to say hakol? What do you mean? Yeah, you have to know. It's like it can go both ways. But the good is that every there's another chiddush where it says kol. Not talking about the Pashut and the Pshat, not talking about Paroi, Kol B'chor, not only the firstborn to their mothers, but the first Tipa, right? There was a big bush of all the Mitzrayim, that they were the biggest Menuvalim, right? All of a sudden, kids started dropping dead at all different points, and people looking at their daddies like, hey, I thought that we had the first big bushes, and then they got chopped, they got killed, right? There was a big civil war going on. There's a lot of revelation going on in Mitzrayim at that moment.
What the mothers were, the parents were, fathers were upset at the mothers.
Everyone was dropping dead from all sides. Any tipa rishonim from anybody that doesn't matter, that any guy that ever did any very first time with anybody. So all of those b'chorim, like if it was the father's b'chor, even if the father had a b'chor, it was his first tipa, right?
The wife got
so they were busy killing each other all over the place. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I remember that.
And there was a lot of
her first.
It was a lot of revelation that went on at that moment. Like all of a sudden, they knew it was b'chor, and that the b'chor was kol b'chor, and it's like, hey, why'd he go dead? Yeah, who's his daddy? And all of a sudden, there was a big civil war going on. There's a lot of trouble going on.
Did the civil war happen before Marcus III?
No, also in the midst.
Because they had a war, right?
Against Pari, right? Because they knew that they meant business. Yeah, there's a lot of arigas, true. But also, in the midst of the all of a sudden there was this, and the Archaim Kaddish says that the reason why it happened that way was in order to show, they were very smart people, they weren't stupid people, right? They were the masters of the world, the Mitzrayim. They had the biggest kishev machers, right? They were the biggest. They knew a lot. They had the biggest information, the biggest libraries, right? He had all these big Eitzah givers, right? All the guys that were sitting there, all these yoyatzim that were giving him stargazers. They had all the professional things, and they were big apikorim there too. And they were like, okay, so very nice, Marcus Dam. Dam, okay, so maybe your God is in charge of the fish or the water, right? It's right there. This God is in charge of the frogs. When it came to the last three, which was Choshech, first Arba, Choshech, B'choiris, that mamish proved that not only does he take care of everything that Shaykh and Kingdom and Arav and Dever and Shchin, but also the Ruchos, which is the winds of the world, which was the Eibishter brought the grasshoppers, it says, right? What does it say? The Lashon over him?
With the east wind.
With an east wind blew it in and blew it back the other way. And then also they said, okay, but maybe the sun and the moon, they're still powerful gods, and the Eibishter brought Choshech, and they're like, okay, I guess he's boss of that too. And then they're like, yeah, but there's got to be some kind of human power, who says he's in charge of that? And all of a sudden, as they saw that he's in charge of every tipa, he recognizes and knows who's the real first. So then they're like, okay, everyone, it was hands down, it was clear to everybody, with all their chachmas, that the Eibishter is boss.
Does it represent maybe the 10 spheres, the 10
For sure, also. And that's Aseret Dibros. Medrash says that the Aseret Dibros, which is the side of Emunah, was an elaboration of that came out of the Gilu, the Asher Marcus, of course.
Well,
Connected to Asher, my Morris, it's all connected. But, so therefore, that's one very important thing that he has to know. Boy, we're always going with Hashem. Even when it's a matzav of Paroi, even if a person's falling shkoich to low levels, he has to know the Eibishter is there, right there with him, on the highest levels and the most connected levels at all times. It's very, very important that he should know that he's never lost, he's never by himself. The Eibishter is always there with him. Now I want to share two more nekudas. Very, very important nekudas. Hold on a second. Very, very, very important nekudas. Yeah? There's something very, very, very special about this week's parasha, and that is that, like we said earlier, Klal Yisrael becomes a nation as one. We formulate as one. We're leaving Mitzrayim as one. We have the Parsha, the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, the mitzvah of Mila. Very, very, very powerful in Yonam of Carbon Pesach, all the Yisodis of Amunah. Now, there's something that's very interesting over here, and that is, why did we have to leave Mitzrayim? And in Oifen, where we had Moshe Rabbeinu tells Paro, we're going for 3 days. Why don't we just say we're going forever? We're going forever. He's like, let us go derech shloishes yomim, right? And then we'll do what we got to do. You know, fine. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe we won't come back. We'll decide that. We're not going to leave it up to you, Paro. You should have just told Paro, which he did. He said, "B'noreinu v'zikenim nenelech," but the way he said it was, we're going in an oifun of derech shloishes yomim. So, my Rebbe, the Munkach Rebbe, wrote on a very, very, very important nekuda. Maybe we're going to elaborate a little bit on this. As we all know that, of course, the Indian of Mitzrayim and Yetzias Mitzrayim is also very, very opportune for the person himself. Every individual has Mitzrayim, has things that he's good at, things that he's not good at. There's Mitzrayim, and we all want to be able to have Yetzias Mitzrayim, to be able to feel Hashem and live with Hashem and be successful in avodas Hashem, have a true gula. But the Yitzhahara is also a very smart fellow. Yitzhahara is considered a zaken v'chsil, but he's a big chacham also. Meaning, even though he's a chsil, but he's been fooling us for thousands of years. He's got some professional tips on his fingers. So what's the pshat? Now, a lot of times a person can make a cheshbon like this. There's 2 parts to this, and it seems contradictory, but it really works hand in hand. That is like this. The first thing is, a guy wants to do tshuva. So we all know the worst thing is when a person does something called ribior. He's like, mamish, right now, I'm leaving my ways completely, 100%, and becoming a tzaddik yisar doilam. I'm mamish done with everything. I'm going to learn Shas in the next week. I'm going to know Shulchan Aruch. I'm becoming a Rav. I'm becoming a Dayan. That's it. Total opposite. And a person builds upon himself. Mamish is all excited. And then a week later, he finds himself in the same exact position that he was a week ago. He's still stuck. Nothing ever came about. Why? Because the Torah loves when a fellow does that. A father, make him frummer, burn him, mamish, make more chumras until the guy has no idea what he's doing, and he burns out completely. And the Torah is like, okay, nice try, you're back. I gave you a little vacation. So the idea is, a Yid, when he makes a Kabbalah in order to turn around, the nekuda is we have to do what's called Sfiras HaOmer, which taka is the following after Yetzias Mitzrayim. You make a little move. You take a Kabbalah, you're good at that Kabbalah, you move on to the next, to the next. You mamish make a whole kibbutz of nekudas tovas, of all the good things you want to accomplish and all the good things you want to do, until a person is taka on that level where he's strong enough and enough in a hergel of toiv, in a regilus of toiv, of doing the right thing, that now he's almost shava b'shava. It's an equal fight. He has koyach now. He's not stuck in the rut of the Yitzhahara. He's been doing good things. He's been makabitz good things, being makabitz and kudas toivus, and now he has backing, and he can make bigger moves and greater moves, and taka reach to infinite levels. That's very important, number one. But at the same time, there is something that a yid has to do, and that is, while he's in the deepest choshech, it is important to know that from here, it's shaykh for me to reach the highest. It is. Even though we said not to build in your plan of tshuva, mamish, things that are way above, but to dream about and to feel about and to know, even mitoich the pari and mitzrayim, mitoich the shmutz, start thinking about Hashem. Think about big asagas. Think about things that are taka way out of your imagination, way out of your capabilities. Imagine you're doing the biggest avera. Nobody should be doing the biggest avera. Imagine chas v'shalom, but shaykh, a guy is doing the biggest avera. I don't know. I'm just giving an example. The guy's Yom Kippur, pressing a cheeseburger in, I don't know, who knows where, and he chaps, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. He should think, right here, I'm here. But I could mamish become the biggest tzaddik very, very soon. Start imagining, wow, I'm sitting at my Siyam Hashas, maybe you slowly move away to burger first, and it's Yom Kippur, and you're like, I can mamish, I could be an expert in, Bava Metziach, Bava Kama, Bava Basra, who knows, Hilchas Shabbos, and you start imagining, I could see myself, mamish, being Halik. What it does is at that time, a person gives himself the asaga that it's shaykh for me to do tshuva. It's not pshat. The worst thing is, avada, the steps in tshuva, you have to also have charata. But the first thing is, a person chaps a here tshuva, blow it up so big, like this, you get the feeling, you get the feelings, the hergish of the kedusha, because it makes a roshim. Meaning a person, it's not your plan how you're going to do tshuva. It means that I'm sitting chas v'chalila, I might be sitting in the worst position. My plan isn't, by next week, I should know the three bavas Malpeh. You do that, you're not moving out of that position. That's not my plan of action. But my chibur, my connection to that has to already be now. Has to be in the toich the schmutz, in the worst anxiety. Probably, if I was being more realistic, there's no hope. But that's not true. There is hope. I'm already in my biggest affair imagining I can be so close to the Eibishter. You know why? Because look what happened to Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael was in the deepest level of Shmutz Shayich that, like we said earlier, we quoted the Zohar, they didn't even know what it meant to Munah. They were so far from the Eibishter. They asked Moshe Rabbeinu and he said, the Eibishter said, I'm taking you out. Literally, for real, it wasn't a joke. They're like, who in the world is God? What are you talking about? What does that even mean? They mamish had no idea. But what does it say? How did the Eibishter take them out of Mitzrayim? It says that the Eibishter boosted them up to the Shar Chamishim. They mamish, he gave them 2 mitzvahs. He gave them a chodesh. He gave them Mila. Fine, that to put Dam Mila, Dam Pesach. He gave them Karban Pesach. And all of a sudden, they were like on the biggest levels. They were mamish. They were brought up to levels that not only didn't belong to them, it was so above and beyond. And they're like, wow, we're going to be hailing. Yesterday we were serving the Karban Pesach and Avodah Zarah, and today I'm shechting for the Eibishter, and we're B'nai Choyrim. We're mamish the highest levels. And like that, the Eibishter was zoichet to boost them out of Mitzrayim. The next day, they found out that, hey, oh man, we're really on level number 1. Sfiras Omer. Hayomim Rishon. It's only the right, it's only the first of the Omer. I got every day now I have to work on a midah. But the way they got out was the Eibishter boosted them up into Shar Chamishim. He has to know that tshuva is so real, tshuva is so be'emes, boyel paroi, like the Baal Shem Tov said, that the Eibishter is with you even when you're in the mode of paroi. Even if I'm in the worst position, I have to believe B'emunah Shalema that I'm here, and the one that's with me in this position is none other than God Almighty, my Heilige Tate, who's just waiting patiently, Marachaf, to decide that I'd like to make the move and get out of here. But at that moment, I blow it up, and like Rabban Shalom, you're right, you know what, I want to come back to you completely, I want to come back to you in the whole essence, in the biggest simcha, and it's shaykh, I'm going to do it. The plan has to be a different plan of action. The plan has to be, so therefore right now, I'm going to take one.
But
Yeah?
isn't the Yitzhara's job is to make you forget about God in order to do a sin?
Of course, this is the fight. This is my comeback, of course. The Yitzhara is always going to make us forget. Therefore, we have to remember that David is with us. But it's twofold. So therefore, when Klal Yisrael is leaving Mitzrayim, Moshe Rabbeinu had to tell Pari. Couldn't tell Pari, by the way, we're leaving you forever. Leaving forever, you're not going to get out of here. We're going for 3 days. Tell the Yitzhara, I went to Mahadis in Yeshiva. This was my private graduation in 11th grade. That it was only me and the Rosh Yeshiva, and there was no trophies or what do you get? I never got one. He got a diploma. I'm in the office. He's about to graduate me, and he tells me, he gives me a whole schmooze, and I didn't say anything. I said, okay, fine, the Seder, I have no problem, But I've seen in the Yeshiva guys that are mamish, that you know better than me, that are mamish, doing Gilead Rise, if I'm allowed to say so, Hashem should forgive me. You know what I mean? And then, they're okay. But then we don't throw out. I wasn't doing Gilead Rise, but I was doing other mitzvahs. That one I wasn't doing. You know what I mean? These guys are mamish doing 3 cardinal sins, and they're okay. So he answered me, no, but they're learning. You're not learning. They're learning. That mamish got so upset. I said, you know why they're learning? I'll tell you. They're learning because they're in the hands of the Yitzhar, and the Yitzhar says, listen, Yitzhar, I'm coming right back to you. I just have to run to Seder for a second to learn. because if I don't, then you know what I mean. Then I'm going to be in big trouble. So I won't be able to serve you right. I won't be able to do all that various I'm doing. So give me an hour to go to Seder to learn, fool them, and then I'll come back and do your Aveda. I said, I'm much more honest than that. I didn't even show up in the Besmedrash. I'm just, you know, these guys are mama's bologna macaroni. Oh, I said, do you think that Torah is anything? My Torah is more holy. Their Torah is just, the Torah gives them a freebie. I don't know if I was right or wrong, but the point that I'm bringing is that it's a horror sometimes. It's a way out. There is a way out. If you tell him, Derek Shloshis Yomim, I'm going for 3 days. Parim, Mitzrayim, I'm coming right back. I'm coming right back. I'm going to Zara, for sure, Geschmack. Give me 2 minutes. I just have to go serve Hashem. So then the HR is like, okay, give the guy 2 minutes. I know he's coming back, right? So that's what Moshe Ben is like, Derek Shloshis Yomim. I'm going for 3 days. What's the big deal? Parim's like, 3 days. All right, you're coming back here anyways. I'll let you out for 3 days. And Avada, once we made that move, we got out. We're like, no, never coming back. We want to just serve the Eivish all day. We want to learn all day. The Metziah says there's a way out to the Yitzhahara if he feels he's got you. So then if you tell the Yitzhahara, I'm done with you, I'm leaving, all it does is it causes him to mamish knock you out much more. So therefore you have to have both things which sound contradictory, but they're really the full truth. One, you have to mamish in that matzah, pump up the biggest galus of tzaddik that you could reach. But then when the plan of action comes to actually turn around, the Vada has to be with Caleb. It has to be like Shvir Soimer. It has to be an oifel where you take step by step until you're zoich to conquer, until you're zoich to come to the highest. I want to end with a story. Let me see what time it is, 1 second. I want to end with a story. We all know the story, but I'm going to say it over again anyways, because it's such a geschmack story, and the meaning in Cloud Yisrael is that everybody says the story on Parshas Boy. You know, this week was the yard site of the Heilige Moshe Leib Sassover. Moshe Leib Sassover, I spoke a lot about him. I think there's a whole share almost on him earlier this week. And Moshe Leib Sassover was such a lover of Hashem and such a lover of Klal Yisrael, a huge Oiv Yisrael to the highest levels. And also, he had such a slahavas. He served Hashem with such a fire and such a passion. And everybody knows the famous story, and I want to bring out a very important story. And I'm bringing out a lesson that maybe if you heard the story, maybe you didn't hear a lesson. The story goes as follows. The Heilige Moshe Leib Sassover went to spend Shabbos by the Heilige Noam Elimelech from Lezhensk. Yeah,